Good morning. We'll call to order our August 8th regular meeting of the Mason County Board of County Commissioners. We'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. Dave, if you'd lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the clerk would please take the roll.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
I'm here.
Commissioner District 2, Kevin Schutte.
Here.
Commissioner District 3, Terry Drexler.
Here.
Thank you. And item number 4, correspondence and organizational business. If the clerk would please report the correspondence.
The Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board sent an application for Alderbrook Resort and Spa at 10 East Alderbrook Drive in Union. The United States Department of Commerce, U.S. Census Bureau, sent a 2020 local update of census addresses operations, and Dean Secor sent a letter regarding budget proposals.
Thank you. Item number 5, this is an open forum for citizen input. If there are members of the public that would like to address the commission on items not on today's agenda, they can please come forward at this time and approach the podium, and the chair will recognize them.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Davis, resident of District 2 here in Mason County. As you know, in business, you need to know where your money is going, coming in, going out. If you don't keep very good track of it, you're not going to be in business very long. We apply that principle to our Veterans Assistance Fund and all veterans operations. For instance, I can tell you on any given day, any given week, every given month or quarter, what our expenses are and what our revenues are. A lot of that is due largely to the reports that are generated here with the cooperation of the Veterans Assistance Fund. I can even tell you who took how much out of their pocket to pay for things that weren't covered under the Assistance Fund, and I can tell you how many miles were driven for each person. And I have that with me, and anytime you want to see these things, that's the level of detail we keep here in our operation. But what I can tell you, what I cannot tell you, is where $2.2 million in the 0.1% of fund for mental health therapeutic courts is. And I can tell you that, and I tried. I put in it's the first time I ever put in a public records request in the 13 years of addressing issues. But I did. I wanted to find out where the money was because I had a particular interest, for obvious reasons, about some funding issues that were expressed. There wasn't enough money to fully fund the contract for our veterans caseworker. And so I took an interest in that. And I asked for the reports for just about from the beginning of 2012 through 2015, and then 2016 and 2017 is the current year, so we're in that. And what I found was that, and I did get a response, and a courteous response, and I do appreciate that, but what I found was actually that up to 2015, there were reports that segregated the costs out individually. How much money was being used for each individual program, how much was being used for to augment salaries and so on, and there was a budget resolution that paired with this, and then there was the expenses. That all stopped in 2015. The last report was in 2015, and I attribute that to the restructuring that happened around that time, where those monies were taken out from a particular committee, recommendations that the particular committee made for that 0.1% funding. And I believe, and I'm not positive, but I believe, based on the reports I received in response to my request, that money was then folded into basically the Mason County Community Services, or in particular the Public Health Department of the Mason County Community Services. But from there on in, we don't have any costs that are segregated out. There's no accountability. If it's incorporated in here, I can't find it. If it's incorporated in just about all the documents that I can't find it. It's not identified, and those costs are not stated. That's problematic, and it's problematic for a very particular reason, because this particular fund is siloed money. It was up and above our regular property taxes. This was associated with an increase in the sales tax to be used for this particular purpose only. Now, maybe it is being used for those particular purposes, but the public has no way of knowing it. At the end of 2015, those monies, again, evaporated in terms of accountability. And I think inherent when you, in the process, when you ask people to pony up more money, up and beyond their normal taxes, that the accountability portion of that reporting becomes paramount. Because later on down the line, as you know, you're going to be asking people to pony up for other things, and they'll look back, as I look back, and said, well, why would I agree to this if the last time there was no accountability in that process? So effectively, in my opinion, the only thing that got restructured here was the accountability out of that process. And so I have a real problem with that, and I would hope that you would go back to the drawing board and see how this can possibly happen in this particular case, and possibly even look at some of the other restructuring that might not have achieved the objectives that you thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public for comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to item number 6, the adoption of today's agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda as presented. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Item number 7, approval of minutes. There are minutes from July 24th and 31st briefings.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of the minutes, July 24th and 31st, first briefing minutes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the briefing minutes from July 24th and 31st. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to item number 8, which is the approval of our action agenda. Commissioners will read through the items on today's action agenda, and at that time, if a commissioner or a member of the public would like an item removed for a separate discussion and vote, they can do so at that time. Commissioner Jeffries, if you'd please take item 8.1, Commissioner Netherland 8.2, and I will take 8.3 and 4.
Item 8.1, approval of warrants in the Claims Clearing Fund, warrants numbers 8050273 through 8050321, totaling $184,988.29, for a grand total of $184,988.29 to be approved today.
Mr. Chairman, 8.2 reads, approval to amend resolution number 12-17, revising the non-represented salary scale range alignment in response to mid-year budget reductions and restructuring of support services, reclassify the financial analyst from a range 26 down to a range 21, reclassify the personnel assistant from range 19 to 21, reclassify the clerk of the board claims administrator from range 17 to 19, amend the title to Clerk of the Board Record Specialist, and create Risk and Safety Compliance Manager, range 21. Create Administrative Clerk, range 19. Delete the Assistant to the Commissioners at range 21.
Item 8.3, approval to have the chair sign the 2017-2019 biennium contract between Washington State Conservation Commission, WCC, and Mason County, and amendment number 1 to the interlocal agreement with the Mason Conservation District, MCC, for the voluntary stewardship program that is grant funded. Item 8.4, approval of the Consolidated Homeless Grant and Housing and Essential Needs Contract number 17-46108-20 with the Department of Commerce. Is there any item that a commissioner or a member of the public would like to have removed for a separate discussion and vote?
Mr. Chair, item 8.2, I just have a question.
Okay. Okay, so we can, we'll remove that for a separate discussion. At this time, if there aren't any others, I would entertain a motion on items 8.1, 3, and 4.
Mr. Chair. Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the action agenda, items 8.1, 3, and 4.
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve items 8.1, 8.3, and 8.4 as presented. Any additional discussion?
I just want to point out that item 8.4 is our first year of being the actual contract recipient for the Department of Commerce's Consolidated Homeless Grant and what's popularly known as the HEN program. Mason County was unique in that the county was not the applicant and receiver of the monies. Those were separated out. Those have been consolidated to, at the request of Department of Commerce, that we be the actual applicant for the monies and then subcontract those monies to providers in the community.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Takes us to item 8.2. Frank, if you'd mind briefing, and then if Tom still has his question, then.
So due to the 2017 budget reduction, support services have had to restructure by eliminating 9 positions plus 3 seasonal help positions. In order to reassign those essential duties, 2 positions were created, a risk manager, safety compliance officer, as well as an administrative clerk. The following positions are being asked to be reclassified: a financial analyst from a range 26 down to a 21, clerk of the board claims administrator from a 17 to a 19, personnel analyst from a 19 to a 21, and then the appropriate classification change to the salary scale range alignment as required under Personnel Policy Chapter 5.1.
Okay, any questions for staff from the commission? Okay.
Thank you. Frank, I would just wanted to know what the net cost savings that the county was to do this action item.
For all of the changes, I don't have it identified for just the salaries, but for all of the changes in support services, it was around $360,000.
Okay, but that doesn't address just what's happening here.
I don't have that. I don't recall off the top of my head what that
Can
dollar
you
amount.
venture a ballpark so we just know that there is a net cost savings?
There is a net cost savings, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional comments on item 8.2?
From me, I just want to share that it is increasing the amount and the range of work on many, many employees, all of our restructuring. So I just hope that folks understand that when there are budget cuts, that means there are jobs that are reassigned. With layoffs, they're reassigned to other people. And so the staff in the support services are taking on a great deal more work, and we appreciate that. And, these type of reclassification, I think is creative, and it's a way to address our budget issues in a very creative fashion, and I appreciate that we adhered to our policies around these types of reclassifications.
Thank you.
So I'll just make clear, this is well done on your behalf. Our department, the Support Services Department, cut greater than what was requested of everybody else in order to make all that happen. There was a lot of moving around in order to make it happen. There was a total cut of 9 full-time, then 3 part-time. Then we brought in 3 of the ones that were up in the 21 range. We brought them down to, down to 19. And we had one that was a 26 and stuff. So what we did basically is took some of those jobs that we had and brought them down to a lower level, and still took some of that work and moved it around to others as well, because people can only handle so much. But overall, it was a cut of 9 total, but then we brought 3 back, so 6 plus 3 seasonals. Way to think outside the box to get it done.
Great, thank you. And then I would entertain a motion on item 8.2.
Mr. Chair, I move that we amend Resolution Number 2012-17, revising the non-represented salary scale range alignment in response to the mid-year budget reductions and restructuring of support services. Reclassify the financial analyst from range 26 to a range 21. Reclassify the personnel analyst from range 19 to range 21. Reclassify the clerk of the board, claims administrator, from range 17 to range 19, and to amend the title to Clerk of the Board Record Specialist. To create the Risk and Safety Compliance Manager at range 21, create Administrative Clerk at range 19, and delete the Assistant to the Commissioners at range 21.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve, to amend resolution number 12-17, revising the non-represented salary scale range alignment in response to the mid-year budget reductions and restructuring of support services. Reclassify the financial analyst from range 26 to a range 21. Reclassify the personnel analyst from range 19 to range 21. Reclassify the clerk of the board claims administrator from range 17 to range 19, and amend the title to clerk of the board record specialist. Create risk and safety compliance manager at range 21. Create administrative clerk at range 19, and delete the assistant to the commissioners at range 21. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Takes us to item number 9, other business. Department heads or elected officials would like to address the commission. Seeing none, we'll move on. There are no public hearings set for today, so we can move to item number 11, board reports and calendar. Commissioner Drexler, if you'd start, Commissioner Netherland to follow, and then I will finish out.
Following last week's commission meeting, I met with our transportation consultant, providing a transportation plans for our Allen and Belfair urban growth area. She will be presenting and receiving comment, by the way, in our 5th Tuesday meeting up in Belfair. So I encourage people that are very interested in that and have comment to attend that meeting. On Wednesday, I had a meeting with a representative of the Governor's Office and the Department of Health, our shellfish industry, our Department of Community Services, regarding a potential Mason County Shellfish Initiative, but mostly we heard from Department of Health around the irregularity of our ability to keep and maintain a water quality in our growing areas, and specifically we spoke to the FDA's and the Center for Disease Control's partnership to create a norovirus early response and identification system that could be duplicated for what I like to call a SWAT team type of approach for when we're getting early signal that we've got hits both for fecal coliform, and then how can you have a more comprehensive response to norovirus. And I think that, coupled with the fact that the Department of Health is acknowledging our need for water quality increased work, has contracted, you successfully negotiated a contract, Dave Wyndham, to increase our water quality personnel here. I think that this is ideal in that another thing that we found out was almost every inch of shoreline of Mason County has been classified one way or the other for shellfish, and it's very important that we, that's a lot of area to keep track of and to hopefully keep in the approved status. And so it was a very good meeting, and encouraged Mr. Burbells from Department of Health to meet with each of you individually as well, or as a full commission, to receive that same information. At Mason Transit Authority Audit Entrance Conference, I met with the Hood Canal Quarrying Council Director Scott Brewer, and I had a meeting with the new director of the Washington State Transportation Improvement Board, of which I serve on that board, and I'm looking for, and we're going to be exploring ways that the counties can access the TIB funds. It is an agency that's been recognized by the legislature as being a very effective agency for keeping our city streets in good repair. They have graphs that show you, the conditions and over the years how they've increased that since 2000. There is a possibility for counties to access that money, but unfortunately it has to be on county arterials. And there aren't a lot of county arterial roads that are exclusively county-owned in rural areas. They tend to be major state highways. So looking for opportunities to partner with the Department of Transportation and the TIB funding to make more walkability opportunities in our urban growth areas that are served by state highways, most specifically Allen would be one of them, with sidewalks. Attended the retirement party for Patty Kleist from the Faith in Action. And then following today's meeting, I'll be potentially attending the Housing Coalition meeting, and we'll have the opportunity to congratulate Smoking Moe's, a downtown Shelton business that is one of our first to ever have sidewalk and outside dining. And so they'll be having a ribbon cutting on that one, and I thank Smoking Moe's and the city of Shelton for doing that piece to create a more vibrant downtown Shelton. Tomorrow we'll have a closed session for evaluations of all three of our directors under departments under the supervision of the commission. I'll be attending the Hood Canal Quarrying Council meeting, and then I'll be meeting with constituents on Thursday, and then a Mason Transit Authority meeting with their executive director, the Cascade Pacific Action Alliance meeting, and then I cannot attend due to a conflict. Derek Kilmer's having a town hall meeting up in the Belfair area. I encourage people to attend that meeting Thursday at 5:30. Then I'll have a Thursday Mason Behavioral Health meeting, and then I'll be attending the North Mason Resources Open House. I'm back for briefings on Monday.
Thank you. Commissioner Edelman?
Okay, so I also met with Sarah Black of SCJ Alliance in regards to the transportation issues up in the Belfair area. I can't tell you how exciting it is when we talk about some of these things and the possibilities that are going on. We've already had letters of support and of donation for some different possible options that we may have. We also have had conversations with connections on some of the other options that it may have. And with that being said, over the last week, I actually have met with some realtors and some landowners on some of the other roads that Sarah Black was talking about, and seeing what the possibilities are of them donating their land and donating their right-of-ways and stuff like that, or maybe even helping. Anything that we can do if the community decides to kick in makes it more possible, more likely that it's fundable. Fundability is everything. If you don't have any money, you can't build anything. So if the more they can kick in, the more opportunities we may have. I also met with a couple realtors in regards to tiny houses, constituents on the budget. Temple board meeting, met with Dave and some folks from Highway 106. Very spirited, exciting meeting again, though. Different issues that they've had for quite a while, but I think when they walked out, they were pretty satisfied. Of course, until it's all done, they're not going to be ecstatic, but they were very satisfied, and I heard from some, and they were very happy with our staff and how the professionalism, how we handled it. So kudos to our staff for that. Let's see. I met and spoke several times this week with a developer that looks like we have 2 new buildings going to be popping up here shortly in Belfair, and that's pretty exciting. I don't know if it's made it to Dave yet or not, because I can't say much until it does, but looks like 2 of them. One as big as 8,000 or maybe even 12,000, but we got to talk about that square feet, which would be pretty interesting. Anything we can get there would definitely help, but it looks like it's for sure. It's not a maybe, it's for sure on there. I attended Veterans Court, which was wonderful, very emotional, actually. They showed a picture of the gentleman before he started, and looking at him, how he looked now was pretty impressive. And we all know how people that have different drug issues, what they end up looking like and what it does to their life. It was very emotional, very inspiring meeting. I also plan on attending the town hall in Belfair with Derek Kilmer. I attended the Patty Kleist going away with an incredible woman. We wouldn't have that hub center up there if it had not been for her. She came at just the right time. Sometimes the person does make the project. There's no way around it. She just wouldn't quit, and then it got built. It was funny when it first started. It was such a long journey. It didn't even look possible, but then it's built. It's amazing, so I want to give her a lot of credit for that, and we're going to miss her, and I wonder what she's going to do next. We also had our briefings. I'll be meeting with the attorneys this week in regards to a couple of things. One of them is our powers and stuff when it comes to budget, and also I will be speaking with them in regards to driving while license suspended, threes, and how they're handling what they can do and how we can help them to get where they need to go. I was planning on attending the Housing Coalition today too, but maybe I won't if you're going to be there. But in case we'll call it a meeting. There's two of us going to be there. Actually, we can't do that because that's not 24 hours notice, so, and that would be taking testimony. So you're up. I'll let you go. I'll step back and, let's see, Director Evaluations this week. I have a meeting of ARC on the Board of Directors there, the EDC. Also, North Mason Resources have an open house. Trails End Community has their potluck, and that brings us back for patrons.
Okay, very good. Last week, I also sat down with Scott Brewer from the Hood Canal Coordinating Council, as well as Elizabeth McManus from the Alliance for a Healthy South Sound, looking at some regional options for shellfish protection, water quality, and also had a representative there from Pierce County's surface water program to give an update on how they go about doing their work there. So very interesting. I think there's a definite interest from both the Hood Canal Coordinating Council and the Alliance for a Healthy South Sound to look at the shellfish issue a little bit deeper and how that would potentially benefit water quality in our region. Also attended the Veterans Court graduation last week. Just to echo Commissioner Netherland, very very moving experience to be there and really celebrate somebody's recovery and what by all accounts is a new lease on life. And I know Tom's involvement in that process, and I think it goes without saying that was a very moving and touching experience, and appreciated the opportunity to be there. Also had a conversation this week with planning staff and DNR regarding floating homes in our shoreline management program update, and so working out some of the I will say miscommunications between different offices within DNR, and then what effect that has on our SMP update, which will be getting back here in the next few weeks, hopefully from the Department of Ecology. And so then this afternoon I have a MACECOM board meeting, then later this week Director Evaluations, as well as the Hood Canal Coordinating Council. Then we had an election a couple of weeks ago, and so I have Canvassing Board coming up 2 times next week to go through the process of certifying those elections. So, and that is all I have. So it takes us to item number 12, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
We're adjourned. Have a good afternoon, everybody. Oh, good morning. Rest of it.